I was racing home after working late, my phone buzzing with frantic messages from my neighbor. My kids were sitting on my doorstep crying. But according to our custody schedule, they should have been with their mom tonight. My heart pounded as I pressed the gas pedal harder, confusion and worry washing over me. How long had they been waiting there alone? Before I continue with what happened next, let me know where you are watching from, and hit that like and subscribe button to support stories about parenting challenges after divorce. After 2 years of being divorced from Jessica, I thought we had finally established a rhythm that worked for our family. I am Alfred, 35 years old, a software engineer living in Seattle with a modest apartment near the local park. The place is nothing fancy, but it has enough space for when my 2 children visit me according to our custody arrangement. My daughter Emily is 8, and my son Noah is 6. Both sweet kids who have somehow managed to stay resilient despite the upheaval of their parents splitting up. The divorce was not my choice. Jessica had been having an affair with her coworker for months before I discovered the truth. The pain was unbearable, but I tried to handle everything maturely for the sake of our children. We agreed on shared custody with a fixed schedule that was supposed to provide stability for Emily and Noah. Every Monday, Tuesday, and alternate weekends they would stay with me. The remaining days they would be with their mother. Despite my efforts to maintain a cordial relationship with Jessica for the kids, she never seemed to take our agreement seriously. At least once a week she would call with some excuse about needing to change the schedule at the last minute. Most of these sudden changes coincided with her dating life, which had apparently become her priority since our separation. "Alfred, I need you to take the kids tomorrow night," she would say. "I have an important networking event." Or something came up with work. "Can you pick them up early?" I always said yes, rearranging my own schedule to accommodate her. Not because I wanted to please her, but because I never wanted my children to feel like a burden. My coworkers at the tech company where I work had been understanding about my situation. They knew I was a single dad half the time and respected that I might need flexibility. But the project we were currently working on was approaching a critical deadline, which was why I had to stay late at the office on that particular Thursday. Throughout that afternoon, my phone had been buzzing with calls from Jessica, but I was in back-to-back meetings and could only send quick texts promising to call her back later. I assumed it was the usual request for a schedule change, something that could wait a few hours. As I was packing up to leave the office around 8:30 in the evening, my neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, sent a message that made my blood run cold. "Alfred, your children are sitting outside your door. They look upset." I offered to let them wait in my apartment, but they said their mom told them to stay put until you came home. I immediately tried calling Jessica, but she did not answer. I jumped into my car and sped home, a sense of dread growing with each mile. What kind of mother would leave our young children alone outside an empty apartment? Even if she had an emergency, she could have called Mrs. Rodriguez, whose number she had for situations exactly like this. The 20-minute drive felt like the longest of my life. All I could think about was Emily and Noah, scared and confused, wondering why neither parent was there for them. The worst part was knowing that Jessica must have knocked, realized I was not home, and still decided to leave them there. That was not a mistake or a misunderstanding, that was a choice. When I finally pulled into my apartment complex, I spotted them immediately. Emily and Noah were huddled together on the top step of the stairway, leading to my second-floor apartment. Emily had her arm around her little brother, who was shaking from the cold April evening. The temperature had dropped significantly after sunset, and neither child was wearing a proper jacket. Daddy Noah cried when he saw me running toward them. His face was streaked with dried tears, his eyes red and puffy. Emily looked up, relief washing over her features, but I could see the hurt behind her eyes. At 8 years old, she was already learning that adults could be unreliable, a lesson no child should have to learn so young. "I am so sorry," I said, gathering them both into my arms. "I am so sorry I was not home." "We knocked and knocked," Emily explained, her voice small. "Then we tried calling, but you did not pick up." "I know, sweetheart. I was in meetings at work." "But why did Mom leave you here? Today is her day with you." Noah sniffled against my shoulder. "Mommy said she had a very important date. She said we had to stay with you tonight." My blood boiled, but I kept my expression neutral for the kids. How long have you been sitting here? Since it was still light outside, Emily said. Maybe an hour. I tried to keep Noah warm. An hour. My children had been abandoned on my doorstep for an hour while their mother went on a date. I unlocked the door with shaking hands and ushered them inside. The apartment was cold and dark, obviously uninhabited all day. I turned on the heat and lights, trying to create some warmth and normalcy. Are you hungry? I asked, already knowing the answer. It was well past their dinner time. They both nodded. I quickly prepared some macaroni and cheese, their favorite comfort food, while they sat at the kitchen counter watching me with tired eyes. As the water boiled, I heated some milk for hot chocolate, hoping it would help warm them up. Did Mom say anything else? I asked casually, not wanting to interrogate them but needing to understand what had happened. Emily played with the sleeve of her sweater. She was getting ready for her date while we were at her house. She put on a pretty dress and kept looking at her phone. Then she suddenly said, "We needed to go to your house because her friend was coming soon." She was putting on lipstick and said we could not stay because it was grown-up time, Noah added innocently. I nodded, continuing to stir the pasta so they would not see my expression. "And when you got here, she knocked on the door and rang the bell," Emily continued. When nobody answered, Noah started crying. "Mom said you must be running late and we should wait for you. She said she would be late for her date if she did not leave right away." Did she call me? Try to make sure I was on my way home. I already knew the answer, but I needed to hear it. Emily shook her head. She just said you would be home soon and left. Noah was really scared. After making sure they had eaten and were warmed up, I ran a hot bath for them. They were unusually quiet as they took turns bathing, exhaustion evident in their drooping shoulders. I found clean pajamas from the set they kept at my place and tucked them into the beds in their room. All the while I was trying to reach Jessica, calling repeatedly with no answer. As I was saying goodnight, Noah looked up at me with wide, confused eyes. "Daddy, why did Mommy leave us alone? Did we do something bad?" His question broke my heart. "No, buddy. You did nothing wrong at all. Sometimes adults make mistakes, but I am here now and you are safe." After they fell asleep, I tried Jessica again. Still nothing. I sent text messages ranging from concerned to angry, but my phone remained silent. The more time passed, the more my worry transformed into fury. This was not just irresponsible, it was neglect. Our children could have been hurt, taken, or simply traumatized by the experience of being abandoned. I stayed up most of the night checking on them periodically, watching their peaceful sleeping faces and wondering how their own mother could have put them in such a situation. By morning, I had not heard a single word from Jessica. The kids were still asleep when my phone finally rang at 9 in the morning. Jessica's name flashed on the screen. "Where have you been?" I demanded in a hushed tone, stepping into the hallway so as not to wake the children. "Do you have any idea what you did? Why are you being so dramatic?" Her voice was casual, as if we were discussing something trivial like a missed coffee date. "The kids are fine, right, fine. They sat outside my apartment for over an hour. Jessica Emily was trying to comfort Noah while he cried. It was cold. They were scared, and you just drove off." There was a pause before she responded, her tone defensive. "Well, if you had answered your phone yesterday, this would not have happened. I tried calling you multiple times. So this is my fault. You abandoned our children because I missed your calls during work meetings. I did not abandon them," she snapped. "I left them at their father's house. Besides, Emily is 8, practically a little adult. They were fine waiting for a little while." I could not believe what I was hearing. A little while. And what if I had been out of town? What if I had not come home until midnight? Would they still have been fine sitting outside in the cold all night? "You are overreacting as usual, Alfred. I had an important date last night. This guy could be the one you know. A doctor with his own practice. The kids love him too. So your date was more important than the safety of our children. Is that what you are saying?" "Of course not," she said, but without conviction. "Look, I need you to bring the kids back now. My mother is coming over for lunch and she wants to see them. They are staying with me today," I said firmly. Emily did not sleep well and Noah had nightmares. "They need stability right now, not to be shuffled around again because it fits your schedule." Her voice turned cold. "Those are my kids too, Alfred. You cannot just decide to keep them. I am not having this conversation right now. The kids need rest. We can talk later when you are ready to take responsibility for what happened. If you do not bring them over by noon, I will consider it parental interference. Do not test me on this." She hung up before I could respond. I stood in the hallway, phone in hand, shaking with anger. The threat was clear, but I knew I was doing the right thing by keeping them with me today. They needed time to recover from the emotional trauma of being abandoned. Emily woke up first, coming into the kitchen where I was making pancakes, their weekend favorite. "Is Mom coming to get us?" she asked immediately. "Not today, sweetheart. You and Noah are going to stay with me. How does that sound?" Relief flooded her face, confirming my decision was the right one. "Good." Noah was crying in his sleep last night. After breakfast, I called my boss and explained that I needed the day off for a family emergency. Then I contacted my lawyer, briefly explaining what had happened and asking for advice. He suggested documenting everything while it was fresh and taking photographs of the children when they were found, which I had fortunately done out of pure parental instinct. Around 11:30, there was an aggressive knock at the door. I opened it to find Jessica standing there, perfectly put together in designer jeans and a silk blouse, not a hair out of place. The contrast between her appearance and the frightened, disheveled state of our children the night before made my stomach turn. "Where are my kids?" she demanded, trying to look past me into the apartment. "They are watching a movie." "Jessica, we need to talk about what happened yesterday. There is nothing to discuss. You are keeping my children from me, and I want them back now." Noah appeared behind me, clutching my leg. "Daddy," his voice was small and uncertain. Jessica's expression softened as she crouched down. "Hi, baby. Are you ready to come home with Mommy? Grandma is waiting to see you." Noah tightened his grip on my leg, half hiding behind me. "I want to stay with Daddy." Jessica's face hardened again as she stood up. "This is your doing, Alfred. You are turning them against me." "No one is turning anyone against you," I said quietly. "But you left them alone outside my door. They were scared, cold, and confused. They need time." "Time. They need their mother." Her voice was rising, causing Noah to flinch. "If you do not let them come with me right now, I will call the police and tell them you are withholding my children during my legal custody time." Emily appeared in the hallway, her face serious beyond her years. "Mom, please stop yelling. You are scaring Noah again." Jessica looked at our daughter, momentarily taken aback by the maturity and accusation in her tone. "Emily, go get your things. We are leaving." Emily did not move. "I do not want to go either. Not today." Something in Jessica snapped. "This is ridiculous. You two get your things now, Alfred. If they are not ready to go in 5 minutes, my lawyer will be calling yours." Noah began to cry, clinging tighter to my leg. Emily moved to comfort her brother, putting a protective arm around him, just as she had done on my doorstep the night before. The sight of my children comforting each other against their own mother's anger was the final straw. "Jessica, you need to leave now," I said, my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. "The children are staying with me today. If you want to involve lawyers or police, go ahead. I have pictures of the kids from last night, text messages from my neighbor, and I am sure the security cameras in the complex caught you leaving them alone. So please call whoever you want." Her eyes widened slightly, the threat registering. For a moment she seemed uncertain, perhaps realizing for the first time the seriousness of what she had done. "This is not over," she said, finally turning to leave. Not by a long shot. As I closed the door behind her, I knew she was right about one thing. This was definitely not over. But for the first time since our divorce, I was not going to back down or compromise when it came to the safety of our children. That confrontation with Jessica was the beginning of a turning point in our post-divorce relationship. For too long I had been the peacekeeper, the one who accommodated every schedule change, who never complained when she was late for pickups or drop-offs, who stayed silent when she spoke negatively about me in front of the children. I had believed I was doing the right thing by avoiding conflict, but that night made me realize that sometimes fighting back was necessary to protect what mattered most. Monday morning, I met with my lawyer, Martin Calloway, bringing all the evidence I had collected. The photographs of Emily and Noah sitting alone on my doorstep, the text messages from my neighbor, the security footage I had requested from the building manager showing Jessica driving away after leaving the children. The time-stamped calls that went unanswered. "This is serious," Alfred Martin said, reviewing the materials. "What she did constitutes child endangerment. We have grounds to request a modification of your custody agreement." "I do not want to use the kids as pawns," I admitted, "but I also cannot trust Jessica to prioritize their safety anymore." "We can approach this reasonably," he assured me. "Request a temporary modification while suggesting parenting classes for Jessica. The court generally wants both parents involved, but the children's safety comes first." We drafted a petition for emergency modification of custody, requesting temporary full custody while Jessica completed parenting classes and demonstrated responsibility. It was not about punishing her, but about protecting Emily and Noah. The family court scheduled an emergency hearing for the following week. In the meantime, Jessica bombarded me with angry messages, threats, and eventually tearful apologies when she realized the potential consequences of her actions. Her transformation from indignant to remorseful might have swayed me in the past, but not anymore. This was not about her or me. It was about Emily and Noah. The morning of the hearing, we met with a court-appointed mediator. Jessica arrived with her own lawyer, her appearance subdued in a conservative dress, a stark contrast to her usual flashy style. "I made a mistake," she began, her voice small. "I should never have left the children alone, and I am deeply sorry." "A mistake is forgetting to sign a permission slip," I replied calmly. "You made a deliberate choice to leave our children alone outside a locked apartment so you could go on a date." Her lawyer intervened. "My client acknowledges her error in judgment. However, this single incident does not justify a complete overhaul of the custody arrangement that has been working for 2 years, working for whom my lawyer countered. Mr. Stevens has documentation of at least 26 instances in the past year where Miss Stevens violated the agreement by changing schedules last minute or being significantly late for exchanges." The mediator reviewed our documentation silently before addressing Jessica directly. "Miss Stevens, did you verify that your ex-husband was home before leaving your children?" Jessica shifted uncomfortably. "I assumed he would be home soon. I had tried calling him earlier." "But you did not actually confirm his presence before leaving an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old alone outside an apartment building?" "No," she admitted quietly. "And approximately how long were the children left unattended?" "I am not sure," she hedged. "Maybe 20 minutes," I interjected. "The security footage shows it was 1 hour and 12 minutes from when she left until I arrived home." The mediator made notes, her expression neutral, but her questions pointed. By the end of the session, even Jessica seemed to understand the gravity of what she had done. When the mediator recommended a temporary modification, giving me primary custody with Jessica having supervised visitation until she completed parenting classes, she did not protest. The judge approved the temporary arrangement, scheduling a review for 3 months later. As we left the courthouse, Jessica approached me, her eyes red from crying. "I really do love them, Alfred," she said. "I never meant to put them in danger." For the first time, I felt she might be sincere. "I know you love them, Jessica. But loving them is not enough. They need parents who put their needs first always. I will do the classes she promised. I will do whatever it takes to be better for them." I nodded, allowing myself to hope she meant it this time. For the children's sake, I wanted her to succeed. They deserved a mother who prioritized them, not just when it was convenient. The transition to having the children full-time required adjustments. I spoke with my boss about modifying my work schedule, sometimes working from home and shifting my hours to accommodate school pickup and drop-off times. My parents, who lived a few hours away, came to stay for a couple of weeks to help establish a routine. Emily and Noah showed resilience, but also signs of the emotional impact of what had happened. Noah had nightmares for weeks, waking up crying and calling for me. Emily became anxious whenever I was out of sight for too long, constantly checking to make sure I had not left. We started seeing a family therapist who specialized in children of divorce. Dr. Feldman helped me understand the complex emotions my children were experiencing and gave me tools to support them through this transition. She also had individual sessions with Emily and Noah, providing them a safe space to express their feelings. Jessica, to her credit, took the parenting classes seriously. She never missed a session, and according to the class supervisor, participated actively and seemed genuinely interested in improving her parenting skills. During her supervised visitation, she was attentive and engaged with the children, bringing activities rather than just electronic devices to entertain them as she had in the past. 6 months after that fateful night, we had another court hearing. The judge reviewed reports from the parenting class instructor, the visitation supervisor, and our family therapist. Jessica had completed all requirements and demonstrated significant improvement in her approach to parenting. Based on the evidence presented, the court finds that Miss Stevens has made substantial progress, the judge declared. Therefore, we will transition back to a shared custody arrangement with Mr. Playson Stevens, retaining primary physical custody, and Miss Stevens having the children 3 weekends per month and 1 weekday evening for dinner. It was less time than she had before, but more than the supervised visitation of the past months. Jessica accepted the decision with grace, thanking the judge for the opportunity to prove herself. As we left the courtroom, she turned to me. "Thank you for not trying to cut me out of their lives completely. You could have." "That would never have been the right choice for Emily and Noah," I replied honestly. "They need both of us, just the best versions of us." Today marks 1 year since that night when my children were left alone on my doorstep. Looking back, it seems almost unbelievable how much has changed. Emily is now 9, thriving in school and her art classes. Noah, at 7, has overcome most of his separation anxiety, though he still occasionally asks for extra reassurance at bedtime. Our family dynamic has found a new balance. Jessica has maintained her commitment to being a more responsible parent. She rarely asks for schedule changes anymore, and when she does it is with plenty of notice and for legitimate reasons. She has stopped scheduling dates during her time with the children, finally understanding that her role as a mother needs to come first. I have grown too, learning that avoiding conflict is not always the best path. Sometimes standing firm is necessary to protect what matters most. The night Jessica left our children alone forced me to confront my own tendency to accommodate her behavior at the expense of proper boundaries. We communicate better now, focused entirely on the children and their needs. There are still occasional tensions, but we handle them with maturity away from Emily and Noah. The kids seem more secure, confident that both their parents love them and will be there when needed. Last weekend, when dropping the children off after their time with her, Jessica mentioned that she had been offered a promotion at work, but was considering turning it down because it would require occasional travel. "I do not want to miss my time with them," she explained. "They are growing so fast already. We could work something out," I found myself offering. "Maybe adjust the schedule temporarily when you need to travel. The kids would be proud to know their mom got a promotion." She looked surprised, then grateful. "Thank you, Alfred. That means a lot." It was a small moment, but it represented how far we had come. From a night of thoughtless abandonment to 2 parents truly putting their children first, the experience taught me that sometimes the most difficult challenges lead to the most necessary growth. It would have been easier to continue as we were, with me constantly compensating for Jessica's irresponsibility. But that would never have forced the changes that ultimately benefited our children. As parents, whether together or apart, our choices shape our children's understanding of love, responsibility, and respect. Every day I try to make choices that show Emily and Noah what it means to be reliable, consistent, and loving even when it is difficult. What about you? Have you ever had to take a difficult stand to protect someone you love? Share your experience in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share to help others who might be struggling with similar situations. Thank you for listening. And remember, sometimes the hardest decisions lead to the most healing outcomes for everyone involved.